PBY-5A Catalina. Into the wells as plain sailing for Catalina gets airborne. An aircraft that was developed in the run-up to the impending World War II when the US Navy recognised that it had a need for it. Catalinas of the US Navy, size of the Japanese fleet, making for Midway, and it was a Canso, as they were known when built by Canadian Vickers for the Royal Canadian Air Force, as this one originally was, that spotted a Japanese invasion force heading for Ceylon, and thereby helped save the Royal Navy fleet in the Indian Ocean. In the Atlantic, an area in which German submarines were able to roam almost at will, supported by the menace of the Focke-Wulf FW-200 Condor, long-range maritime aircraft. And Colony was, of course, an area out of range of existing land planes, which is why a flying boat was so useful there.
Absolutely, you mentioned the gap in the Atlantic. As very often happens in wartime, courage and skill are enough technology has to move on, and the things that made the difference as far as the Battle of the Atlantic.
The Royal Navy managed to press home their attack. The importance of the North Atlantic, of course, was in the context of the supply convoys, delivering vital supplies to the United Kingdom via that route. So it had to be kept open as far as possible. Now here we see the Catalina flying past us with the wingtip floats deployed. Two Catalina pilots were recipients of the Victoria Cross, Flying Officer John Cruikshank of number 210 Squadron, and a Canadian Flight Lieutenant David Hornell of number 162 Squadron. Royal Canadian Air Force both pressing home attacks against U-boats while under heavy fire.
Sorry, they're not back with you now. With the floats deployed on this particular pass. Iconic profile of this squadron there. Right next to you.
The colours of this one are those of a rescue Catalina, OA-10A, operated by the 5th European Theatre for quite some time, but they weren't available until very late in the war. The one that this one depicts was involved in an incredible sortie. It was on the 30th of March 1945. It was trying to pick up the pilot of a downed P-51 Mustang and landed on the water. When they tried to get off again, the crew found the starboard engine had failed. They were close to the Dutch coast, so they wanted to get away from that to avoid the attentions of potential enemy fire from one source or another. They taxied on the water for 90 minutes, and they remained having taken to dinghies on there until the 4th of April. In the meantime, the Catalina had been shot up by a Messerschmitt Me-262 jet fighter of the Luftwaffe. And the loss of that Catalina, which wore the nose art Miss Pickup, which has been put on this airworthy example operated by plane sailing along the second part of the Duxford scene. This very beautiful aeroplane now on final approach. Seen all over Europe, and again it will be this year. It's going to display at Silver in Norway in a couple of weeks' time. Last in over Norway in 2012, right up at the Arctic Circle. It's involved in an expedition to Greece in 2015, undertaken by students from Worksop College, which was quite an undertaking. But here in for what I'm sure will be a very short landing from plain sailing, the Consolidated PBY-5A Catalina. Flown today by former Royal Air Force Hercules and Andover transport pilot going ahead, and with him, keeping the nose remarkably high down to walking pace, with him on the flight deck today was Gareth Bliss. beautifully demonstrated as ever. But now, it's back to the classic jet world, and look out to your left. No other jet aircraft currently can. It's one of the most distinctive shapes in the sky.